All right, you slackers. Today we're roasting some more of your PCs. Let's see what kind of filth you've submitted to my Twitter. This time, Joshua Neil Kent. My first ever build, go easy. I absolutely will not. Ryzen 5 3600X, a tough B550M Wi-Fi motherboard, RTX 2060 KO, that's an EVGA card, 2x8 gig sticks of 3600 megahertz DDR4 memory, I almost said the GTX 970, Samsung 970 EVO 500 gig M.2 NVMe drive, EVGA modular, 650 watt 80 plus gold power supply, and a C200 class glass chassis from Gigabyte. Not a fan of RGB. All LEDs are coincidental. Didn't want to spend extra on cosmetics like cable sleeves because I was way over budget. Let's see this thing in action here, Neil, Mr. Joshua Neil. Okay, wow, Joshua. I have to say, this has to be the most underwhelming, basic looking PC I've ever seen. I mean, it has the budding personality of Ben Stein.
Anyone? The Great Depression.
If it were an ice cream flavor, it would be vanilla. Bagel? Plain. It's just disgraceful, okay? Even IKEA thinks your PC is boring. You know, they say that PCs often look like their owners, Joshua. So, I'm sorry about your face. I just hope that you're not as boring of a person as your PC looks. But if you are, it's okay. I still got your back. If you should suddenly die, I will personally delete your web browser history of stamp collecting videos. I love the fact that you say you don't want to spend money on cosmetics, so you put a seashell inside your PC to compensate. Like, what a genius idea. Why didn't I think of that? Next time I'm at a wedding and I'm underdressed, I'll just pull out a shell. And you know what's actually fascinating is that the back side of your cable management looks fantastic. And there's not even a shell back here. You know, having a green shell in your PC is kind of like having a green shell in Mario Kart. Practically useless. You know, what's the story behind the shell? It's gotta have some sentimental value for it to be here. Is it your lucky shell? It's a lucky shell, right? If that's the case, let me know when it starts working. Because it's not doing jack for your PC right now, okay? It's probably a defective lucky shell. You should return it to the beach. You know, that place you go to suntan every day, like the extremely boring person you are. Asian hamster. Intel Core i5 6600K with an ASRock H270M. What's with this combination of an unlocked processor and a motherboard chipset that doesn't support overclocking? I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense. GTX 1060, 3 gigabytes, Corsair 1 gig of 2400 speed memory, CryoRig CR H7A tower cooler, 100R case, and a bunch of drives. So for starters, you got kind of an overpowered CPU here and an underpowered GPU. It might be time to upgrade the GPU. Just a thought. Let's go on here. Wow, okay, hamster. Dude. The Verge is taking notes furiously right now. Holy Toledo. There's so many things wrong with this that I don't even know where to begin. You know, it's like the Ghostbusters remake. You know, Asian Hamster, one of the main benefits of building your own PC is so that the inside doesn't have to look like an HP Pavilion. But here you are. You know, I don't say this often, but this PC sums up 2020 pretty well. It really does. A total cluster. And you know you messed up when the backside of your motherboard tray is cleaner than the front end. That says it all, doesn't it? And look at this rear fan. The rear fan's flipped as an intake. I doubt you have a dust filter there, which is why there's a massive amount of dust buildup on the fan, which is just being dumped into your system. You've got a fan on the wrong side of the heatsink. I mean, technically you could put it there. Generally, you put it on the right side. I don't even know which way this fan's facing, if it's competing with the back fan, or if they're both blowing air in the opposite direction of your front intake. Your power supply is flipped the wrong way. Technically, the fan should be facing down. There is ventilation at the bottom of this case, so, I mean, it's just impressive how you've managed to do everything wrong. Like, I hate to say this, Asian Hamster, but you're the type of guy who would probably up a bowl of cereal. All right, so cornflakes first, and then oil? This is an absolute travesty, okay? It's a hazard to society, but more importantly, it's a hazard to my eyes. So good job, Asian Hamster. You're the reason they still make cases without windows. Karsten, work in progress PC. Yeah, they're all a work in progress, buddy. Gigabyte X570 Aorus Elite, Ryzen 7 3700X, OC to 4 GHz, G-Skill 2x8 gig sticks of DDR4 3200 speed, A GF gluten-free GTX 1050 2GB upgrade pending. Sure, that's what they all say. Crucial MX 500 gig SSD, Seagate Barracuda 2TB, blah, blah, blah. And Blu-ray player, for some reason, 700 watt power supply. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, you got one more comment here. New RGB is being checked out and ordered to get away from the original Fantex case fans. A new GPU is purchase pending and will add water cooling and non-mustard PSU at some point. Promises, promises, promises. All right off the bat, I'm gonna point out your completely imbalanced system here. You've got an 8-core, 16-thread, very nice high-end processor with a pretty measly GPU. I guess that explains why you're gonna be upgrading your graphics card soon, but this is a prime example of what happens when your PC skips leg day. Don't let it happen to you. With that said, let's take a look at your PC. Okay, Karsten, I see what you're working with here. The first thing I'll point out is that you need to flip your rear fan. Why is it backwards? There's no dust filtration there. You're competing with your front intake. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, Karsten, right out of the gate, you already remind me of an Asian hamster I know. Jokes aside though, nice PC. Did you build it for Pride Week? I mean, I'm not an expert or anything, but I'm pretty sure your cables shouldn't have a wider color gamut than your monitor. Okay? That just seems off. And could you have picked a worse color for those SATA cables? Like, look at how awful this is. It just accentuates how terrible your cable management back here is in the first place. But good God, man. Yellow? I mean, at least they're being put to good use, right? Like, for connecting this ancient monolithic artifact that I'm sure gets tons of use these days. And I gotta ask, Karsten, because it's just so eye-catching, who makes this power supply? My Little Pony? Like, how many friendship watts does that thing have? You know, I never thought this day would come, but we've officially entered a new tier of RGB, folks.
Unicorn semen.
Sorry, Karsten, I really don't need to roast your PSU, because it looks like it's gonna roast itself at some point. I just hope that when it goes up in flames that it takes the rest of your system with it.
This video is brought to you by the Lian Li LanCool 2 Mesh RGB. Experience unrestricted airflow with a mesh front panel and ventilated power supply shroud for maximum cooling performance. Ample radiator support lets you water cool to your heart's content, and the case includes 3 120mm addressable RGB fans with a built-in front panel lighting controller for easy color and effect cycling. Enjoy flexible storage options on or underneath the PSU shroud, along with thoughtful cable management for utmost tidiness. Available in black or white, the LanCool 2 Mesh RGB is one of Lian Li's most impressive cases yet. Click on the link below for more info.
Eddie. All right, Eddie, let's see what you got. Planned to make an LCD side panel, so I made a white motherboard and GPU armor, but got lazy. Oh no! Ryzen 7 3800X and ROG Strix X570 motherboard, RTX 2060 Super WindForce Gaming OC, Corsair 680X case, and 16 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RAM, a bunch of L series fans. All right, let's see what you... Oh, Eddie, I hate to break it to you, my boy, but that's not armor. No, that is definitely something else entirely. The only thing that's shielding is a better looking system. You know, actually, thank you for doing this, Eddie. Now we know what NZXT's motherboards will look like if they ever run out of money. You know, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that your PC is supposed to run Notepad, not look like one. And you know, the worst part about this is that it's gotta be impacting thermals. I mean, it's literally cutting off airflow and circulation from elsewhere in the case. In fact, Eddie, your VRM called. It was just screaming. Not only are you trapping heat around your GPU as well, but you've somehow managed to turn an attractive WindForce card into an Asus Turbo that doubles as a catwalk for your anime fashion show. I just hope you're having a good time, Eddie, because I hate to break it to you, but those Gundams are probably the only models that'll ever let you touch them. The only thing that your RGB will make run faster are girls from your bedroom. And for Gaben's sake, flip the bottom fans. Why are they set to exhaust? They should be aiming at your already probably overheating GPU that's being suffocated by the stupid armor you put on there. Flip the fans, and why do your fan grills look pregnant? Actually, it all makes perfect sense when you think about it, considering there's less testosterone in this build than an ovary. My name Biff. Let's see what you got, Biff. Intel 8th Gen Core i7 8700K, MSI NVIDIA GeForce GTX Ventus 1650 Super, MSI B360A Pro. What? CPU Cooler Master Liquid, AIO, and blah, 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 16 gigs of RAM, and Cooler Master MBTD500 Mesh ARGB. What? ATX. Okay, so remember how the other PC skipped leg day? Well, your PC skipped leg day and has only been working out one arm. It's incredibly imbalanced here. You've got an 8700K, which is a really good gaming CPU, and not only are you pairing that with a weak graphics card, but you also have a B360 motherboard that doesn't support overclocking. So you basically just left a bunch of performance on the table that you paid for. So it's a waste of money and an imbalanced system right off the bat. You should probably upgrade a couple things to balance things out. But let's take a look at your PC, shall we? What is this? Why are there so many? There's enough Avengers in here to get sued by Disney. Someone's got a weird fetish, and they all look very unhappy to be in your computer. They're all just looking at Thanos like, hey bro, like why don't you snap us out of this hole? Look, he's the only one smiling because he knows everyone's pissed off about being blinded by the LEDs in your system. RGB is inevitable. And please explain to me why your RGB controller is just hanging out like Granny's flapjacks. Did you run out of room behind the motherboard tray? How is that possible in this case? What, do you have the whole DC universe back there? I mean, it's great that you have a nice functional controller in here, but what did it cost? And here's a pro tip for you, Beth. Your ketchup and mustard cables don't blend in just because they're next to a superhero orgy of red and yellow latex, okay? Get off your ass and get some custom sleeved extensions or full-length cables, or sleeve these ones yourself. Just whatever it takes. I just can't look at this anymore. I mean, the cables, the controller, the imbalanced hardware. You know what would actually be the most ambitious crossover in history, Beth? Your PC and someone who knows how to build one. Luke, I ain't your father. Pre-built but upgraded specs: Intel Core i7 8700K, 3.7 GHz, MSI GeForce RTX 2070 Super, cuck stock 500 gig hard drive, WD Elements 16 gigs of cuck RAM. Going to upgrade to either that or that. A bunch of cuck stuff. All right, don't care about your setup. Let's look at your PC. All right, I see what we're working with here. All right, well, you're definitely not Luke from Linus Media Group because you've clearly never had a tech tip in your life. This is actually impressive. Brown motherboards are already ugly, but yours is a special kind of hideous. I mean, it looks like it was hydro dipped in an unflushed toilet. You know, it's really a shame when your motherboard actually matches Noctua fans, but probably costs less than one of them. This is the best. The AIO that's got a crown on it. Isn't that a bit self-aggrandizing? Right? I mean, that's like a morbidly obese woman with a license plate that says hot stuff. The only time this AIO ranks above other coolers is when you sort by cheapest on AliExpress. Your cable management is awful, and your ketchup and mustard cables are painful to look at. We also have a saying on this channel that clear LED fans are essentially the equivalent of clear stripper heels. They're both trashy, plastic, and donned with low standards. And consider cleaning your system once every 5 years maybe, or else your fans are gonna be surrounded by disease. Yet another thing in common with clear stripper heels. And I don't know if you noticed, but your drive tray is sagging a little to the right, kinda like my nutsack. This was a PC roast. Thank you guys for watching. Smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps tremendously, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Subscribe for more tech stuff on the way, and check out Bitwit.tech, our merchandise store. Lots of stuff there. If you see something you like, please pick it up. It's a great way to help support the channel and what we do here at Bitwit. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a good one, and I will see y'all in the next video.